Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Massive welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. It's always a pleasure to accompany you on your commute to work or dog walk or gym regime, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you listen to this show, welcome. Now today I wanted to talk about a company called Owler. Now, they're the world's largest community-based business insights platform with over several million users that all count on Owler for real-time news, alerts and company insights to help you win. But Jim Fowler, the founder and CEO of Owler, is going to come on the show today to discuss key findings of Owler's 2017 CEO Likeability Study. Now, every now and again, I come across a guest that I instantly hit it off with, and I could just chat to them all night. Jim Fowler is one of those guys, and I must admit I was surprised that he was not top of Owler's 2017 CEO Likeability Study himself, because he is a great guy. But if you've ever wondered what makes a good CEO or a bad CEO, and what happens when you allow open feedback from the global community along with an algorithm, you'll love tonight's show. And I'm sure that this study both delighted and angered CEOs all over the world, but let's find out more. So let me beam your ears all the way to Washington, not the one in East Coast, but the one on the other side, so we can speak with Jim Fowler, the founder and CEO of Owler. Welcome to the show, Jim. Can you tell the listeners a little about yourself and the Owler platform that you are now the CEO and founder of?
Yeah, delighted. It's a pleasure to be here, Neil. I am Jim Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur based in the Silicon Valley. Formerly, I founded a company called Jigsaw, which was purchased by Salesforce in their first big acquisition back in 2010. And then in 2011, I founded Owler, which is a business insights platform for global business professionals who want to gain insights on their competitors, their customers, their partners, etc.
Now, Owler recently hit the headlines with its 2017 CEO Likeability Study results. But before we look at those results, can you tell me a little bit more about the study and, more importantly, the story behind it?
Sure. So the story behind it is actually the Owler platform. Owler is what we call a crowdsourced business information platform, and we get all of our data from our users. We have over 1 million active business professionals globally who use Owler for free, but in return, they give us information about the companies they follow. And one of the questions we ask is, hey, is this the CEO, just to confirm, but because CEOs change over time. But then more importantly, we ask a bunch of other questions. The most important question we ask about CEOs is rate the CEO. And it's a very simple question: sad face, medium face, happy face. And if a CEO were to get all happy faces, he or she would have 100% rating, and if all sad faces, 0% rating. And so they get a number somewhere between 0 and 100. And many of our CEOs have tens of thousands of votes.
Wow.
So there's a huge, with 1 million active users, you get a lot of voting on this.
Now, we often talk about how technology is evolving everything, but I think our whole approach to business has evolved a lot. I mean, if we go back to the 80s, you automatically think of Michael Douglas in Wall Street. You know, greed is good, and a CEO doesn't want to be nice. He's in there for business. He wants to progress the business. He doesn't need to be nice. So the question I ask to you is, in 2017, do you think it's important for a CEO to be liked? And if so, why?
I do. The big question is, why are they liked? Yeah. And having done this survey, the key thing that I have to make sure that you and your listeners understand is that I'm giving you an opinion. Yeah. Because we are asking our users a very simple question: rate the CEO. And we attach the term likability to it just because it's an interesting way of looking at it. But I look at why the CEOs got rated very highly on our list and why they got rated very low. And I believe there's a commonality there. And it has simply to do with one thing: how much do the users like the product? Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of exceptions there when there's huge PR nightmares, like what's happened with United Airlines or what's happened with Uber. Yeah. Those have dramatic impacts. Has the service of United Airlines or the service of Uber really changed all that much? Not really. I mean, granted, someone did get dragged off of a plane bloody. But that's not normal, right? That was one person out of hundreds of thousands that fly every month. And Uber, of course, the core product hasn't really changed. So there are PR impacts that affect companies. But overall, I think it has to do with how good is the service, not how likable is the personality of the CEO. But to answer your question directly, Nick, I believe that in 2017, what we're seeing is just a constant and relentless march towards more transparency of information. And so when a CEO does something that is unlikable, like Travis Kalanick did with Uber, where he made comments about, there were sexist comments allegedly made. There was a video of him berating one of his Uber drivers. I mean, these things impact because people, my dad taught me something. People do business with people they like. Yeah. And if they're unlikable, well, a video of Travis Kalanick yelling at an Uber driver makes people go, maybe I'll try Lyft. Yeah. So I think that the first thing is it's about how good the product or service is. And the second is those likability impact or, things that happen when people, CEOs do, frankly, in my opinion, stupid stuff.
Yeah, as we all do from time to time.
I don't have 100% likability rating on, my last I looked, it was 83%. So,
awesome.
Vinny was much higher than me. So.
Now, before we dive into that list, can you tell me more about the information that you feed into that algorithm and how the CEOs are ultimately rated? Because I get that you've got the smiley faces there and that feeds in there, but is there another algorithm that makes sense of all those ratings?
There are. In real simple terms, what we do is we age the votes over time. We age them out. So we value a new vote much more than an old vote, and you have to have 10. Anyone who's on this has at least 10 votes. So you have statistical relevance within the last, when we did the survey, it was within the last 6 months. Yeah. So it's all recent votes, at least 10. So only companies that were big enough really to get, enough followers to get at least 10 votes were included in the survey. But as I mentioned, many of the CEOs rated have tens of thousands of votes. And it's a combination of both employees of the company, but much more often, people that follow them. So investors, analysts, competitors, and of course, people that are, just following the company for any other reasons, like, their prospects or their partners or customers. So there's many reasons why these CEOs get voted on. Each one of our 1 million plus members can only vote on a CEO one time. They can change their vote anytime they want, but they can only vote once. So there's not like one person can go in and vote, 10,000 times. And again, as I mentioned, we age the votes over time.
Now, as a tech guy, when I got my hand on that list, the first thing I noticed when I looked down there was Silicon Valley giants such as Facebook and Google. They were nowhere to be seen in the top 10. So the data suggests that tech CEOs are not liked or have as much likability as much as many would think or imagine that they have, despite those shiny keynote tech speeches that we have to sit through every year. But, I mean, why do you think that is?
Yeah, I really think it has a lot to do with tech people use Owler a lot anyway, just because tech folks are usually early adopters. Yeah. But also, I think that, it's just really interesting. Like, it's no surprise to me that Craig Jelinek is from Costco is the top-rated CEO. I'm sure you Brits don't have Costco because it's just such a unique. You do have Costco.
We do, yeah, indeed. They're only in each major city. So Birmingham, we've got a Costco, Manchester and London, and Scotland, I think, have one as well. So yeah, we do have Costco, and we can get our hands on all those big American products.
Exactly. I mean, it's so American, just complete overconsumption, right? I mean, you just gotta. As an American, it just warms my heart because I hate to shop. But I love Costco. There's just something about the deals, and I don't know, maybe it's an American thing, but obviously not because, you guys have them too. But
what amuses me is whenever I go in a Costco, there's always somebody without fail with like 100 toilet rolls. Yeah. It's like the first thing that they buy is toilet rolls.
I agree. It's pretty funny. So, but I could not have told you who Costco's CEO was, even though I love Costco. Yeah. But like I said, that's why my gut tells me that people are voting on products that are company, CEOs. CEOs are a reflection of the company, and so when they really like it. The real surprise to me in the top 5 is Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta Airlines, because as a general rule of thumb, The airlines have fared very poorly. In fact, United Airlines CEO is the lowest rated CEO, or was the lowest rated CEO when we first did the survey. And, flying is an unpleasant and scary experience for many. So it's not surprising. It's hard, it would be hard. So that's a real surprise to me that he was rated so highly. But yeah, the fact that the tech folks, it was a big surprise to us. That there was a couple of huge surprises in the survey. One is employees rate their CEOs higher than the general public, which I would have expected it to be the opposite.
Yeah.
And the other was that the tech CEOs are rated, not horribly and often, but not. You would think, based on all the press they get, that they would be at the top. Why guys like Elon Musk, and had Steve Jobs. It would have been really interesting to know where Steve Jobs would have been on this had he been alive. Yeah. Because Steve Jobs was a legendary. I can't say it on the airway, but. Not a good guy to work for.
Diplomatically put, my friend.
And he literally, I've met two people that reported directly into Steve Jobs who said he made them cry at least once during their tenure. They also said it was the most fulfilling and invigorating work they've ever done in their lives. I mean, Steve Jobs, when you think about what a CEO does, in my opinion, I come from a tech background, and I believe that great CEOs are really great product people, because a lot of CEOs in the tech world come from being technical people. I happen to come from being a salesperson. But either way you come, those are the bookends of an organization. Product's right in the middle, because product really understands they can connect the ability to manufacture or build a product with the customer. Mm-hmm. And they really understand the customer, but they also understand the process to build a product. And my personal opinion is Steve Jobs was the greatest product CEO that's ever existed. I mean, here's my, iPhone that I touch 10,000 times a day. I mean, it's life-changing. And it would have been fascinating for me, Neil, to understand how he would have been rated today. Yeah. It would have been really fascinating, because he is, when he died in the tech world, but I think in almost all parts of America, it was almost like a U.S. president passed away. Yeah. I mean, it was big.
And that was all over the world, wasn't it? That kind of, admiration.
Oh, he transcended, Yeah, exactly. So it's that kind of stuff that would make it interesting to see how he would get rated.
Yeah, and we've talked about the Costco CEO there at the top of the pile, but interestingly, Edward Lampert, CEO of Sears Holdings, he's ranked dead last. I mean, why do you think that is? Do you think it's got anything to do with the image of it being a tired brand? Do you think that's got anything to do with it?
Absolutely. I mean, when was the last time you went into a Sears? Or I did. Yeah. Or anyone. And JCPenney's the same way. Yeah. I mean, even Walmart. Walmart just, what, a decade ago was a juggernaut. Yeah. And now Amazon is just eating its lunch. Amazon and, competition from other Target's upped its game. I mean, this is what I personally love about free markets, is that great products and services get rewarded. And, Sears used to be a top quality brand, and now it's old and tired. And, you think of older people that shop there, not anyone who knows what they're doing.
So we've talked about the Costco at number one. Can you talk the listeners through the remaining top 5 CEOs on that list and why you think they have that likability factor?
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to put your finger on it in every situation. I'm also surprised that, Richard Fairbank from Capital One, credit card. Most people just think of credit card as I would say, often in a slightly negative way. Yeah. They think credit card. But again, in First American Title, Dennis Gilmore, again, a boring company, title insurance, mostly associated with, home buying. But again, I think both of those are very, very well-run companies. Marriott at number 2 is not really a surprise for me. Hotels, unlike airlines, yes, you can have bad experiences with hotels, but Marriott's, a very good brand that's known for great service, very loyal following. So again, that doesn't surprise me that much, because when people get really, loyal to those brands, that's where they come from. Again, the huge surprise to me is Delta Airlines at number 5. Again, we've talked about that already. But again, it's just so interesting. Again, we're just reporting on the raw data, yeah. Right? The interpretation is up to everyone. Why are they doing it? In some cases, you're going to know better than me, but I've been asked this question a bunch and had a lot of time to think about it. These are my opinions about why.
Now, we've spoken briefly about why it's important to be likable as a CEO, but how do you think a CEO can become more likable? I mean, what steps do you think they can do to improve and maybe get on next year's list? Is it all about the brand and improving the brand?
Well, I think to, kind of hammer the same point, it's about delivering a great product and service. Number one, I'm positive. And number two is don't do something stupid. I mean, charisma matters. We're in an age where everything is on video. Everything is, it's just, everything's going to come out. You can't, the age of Mad Men is, the sexism, there's things you just cannot do in 2017 that you could get away with back in the 1950s and 60s and even, a decade ago, because people just, it wasn't there. Everyone has a high quality of video camera in their pocket. And you just have to assume that information wants to be free, meaning, it's rapidly moving towards costing less, but also, it wants to be open and out there. So to me, you just have to, if you're going to run a company, especially a company that has a lot of profile, a lot of customers, you have to, it's becoming more, I'll call it political. You're going to get treated more like a politician than ever before. It's not enough. Look at Uber. Uber was crushing it, creating billions and billions and billions of shareholder value. Yet, the CEO gets ousted because of basically PR gaffes. Yeah.
So 2 other questions I've got to ask is, are you going to be running this study annually? And also, what kind of feedback have you received from both happy and maybe a few unhappy CEOs at the same time?
So the answer is unequivocally yes, we're going to do it every year. In fact, we're starting to slice and dice it. We're looking at who are the most popular female CEOs, and we're looking. We did a lot of regional study just to say who's the most popular CEO, and I don't know that we did Birmingham, but we did several large U.S. cities, and as we continue to get more global, we'll do it globally. Looking at it by industry. So that, we're data junkies here. We're a data company. So it's just really fun to slice and dice it. So the answer is absolutely. It's just been it gets a lot of press. There's a lot of copy on it because it's fascinating. People really care about, the people side of business, right? Yeah. And it really has been a lot less controversial than we would have expected. I've had some personal emails in because, I'm after selling Jigsaw, you get to be known. But mostly it's very polite, why did I get rated so low? Is this my competitors ganging up? And it's no, look at how many votes you have. So, but mostly there's been a little tiny bit of negative, but huge. I mean, people are out releasing that I was the highest rated CEO in this industry. And I mean, we've had many Fortune 500 companies actually do a full-on press release about their ranking and how, they're doing. So it's been great. They care. CEOs care, just flat out.
Wow. So before I let you go, can I ask you to point the listeners in the direction of where they can read this CEO Likeability Study that we've been talking about today, and also how they can get more involved with yourself, if maybe reach out and ask you a few questions about anything we've spoken about, and equally point them in the direction of the Owler website as well.
Yeah, so Owler, again, is a free, service for all business professionals. The common use cases, they all use it to track their competitors at a bare minimum, but many use it to track, lots of other folks. That you can see the survey, and you can go, by the way, if you go to Owler.com, you can go to any company and follow it and rate the CEO. So all you have to do is just, become a member. It's that simple, and it's free. If you want to read the whole survey, it's at Owler.com/CEO rating, CEO-ratings.htm. And if you just search on the site for CEO ratings, it'll take you right to it. And if you want to, contact us, there's a contact us section on Owler, and those questions will all, get to us. Or you can also do it at pr@owler.com as well, depending on the question.
I love the fact, like you mentioned a few moments ago now, that everybody's got a HD video camera in their pockets at all times. And also, we've just had a simple conversation over Skype here, which is going to be turned into a podcast. And there are people listening in 150 different countries that are probably rushing to your site now to rate CEOs. I mean, it's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to love the internet. I mean, it's just an amazing way to bring the world together. And, again, we believe that at the end of the day, this survey is going to have a really positive social impact on the world because, again, CEOs used to be able to kind of hide in the shadows a little bit. You didn't know what they were doing, and this kind of thing wakes them up. And there was one really great piece put together on this about CEOs shouldn't concentrate on why they got a bad rating, but what they need to do to turn it around. Yeah. And I think that, when CEOs are good CEOs, their employees win, their customers win, everyone wins. I mean, it's in everyone's best interest for there to be great CEOs across the board. And this is what helps shine a light on both the good ones and the ones that are getting rated poorly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a perfect note to end on as well, that positive social impact and how you're using technology to do that. So again, a big thank you for coming on today, Jim.
My pleasure, Neil. Thank you.
I love the organic way that this study has been managed. There's no way to manipulate results or game the system. But if you're running a tired brand into the ground with no sign of innovation or taking the digital transformation seriously, there's nowhere to hide. Equally, those with an entirely different approach that's much more suited to the digital age. They're the ones that are doing really well out of this and also using these well-earned accolades to promote themselves or their brand. And interestingly, back in the 80s, the Gordon Gekko character played by Michael Douglas in Wall Street said, "Greed is good, greed works." But I'm hopeful that thanks to Jim's likability study, maybe likability is even better. And likability makes organisations work better here in the 21st century. But hey, that's just the thoughts of an ageing idealist raised on a diet of 80s TV shows and movies. What are your thoughts? You should know where to find me by now. My email address is techblogwriter@outlook.com. You can get me on Twitter @NeilCHughes too. But a big thank you to Jim for his company today. And as for you wonderful listeners, a huge thank you for tuning in. So until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.